Hello, and welcome to today's webinar for Streamlining Electrical Design. This webinar is brought to you by Live Lab Learning, which is a subsidiary of Academic Corp, a wholly owned applied software company created to provide world-class training. My name is Amy Berry, and I'm delighted to be your moderator today. Throughout our presentation, we encourage you to interact with us by typing in questions and comments using the question pane. We will be answering questions at the end of the presentation. Your webinar is being recorded and will be available to you online or your YouTube channel. Please take note of our upcoming events. Today we have Travis Evans with us. He is an industry expert from with Autodesk, and he specializes in the manufacturing products. As you see here, this is our Live Lab Learning website. You can get lots of information regarding our upcoming training and so forth. And here's our upcoming events that we have following today's date. We have a Benefits of Autodesk Maintenance subscription webinar that will be early January. Lots of good information as far as how to maximize your subscription that comes with your software. Then again, on January 16th, we will follow up with the second webinar in our electrical series, and then we'll follow up that on January 20th with our simulation within Inventor Professional. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Travis Evans, and he'll get us started on the AutoCAD Electrical.
All right, thank you, Amy. I just want to make sure the transition works, and you're now seeing my screen. Is that looking good?
I am seeing your screen.
All right. Well, thank you for the introduction, and pleasure to be here today, and educating people about what AutoCAD Electrical can do. As you can see, AutoCAD Electrical is built for control designers. Right? So if you're doing any kind of schematics or need to integrate that information, Electrical is going to help you do that more seamlessly. Some things that will help you do: automate some tasks. It comes with a symbol library. We even integrate with Autodesk Inventor. Right, so it writes out DWGs natively. So if people are consuming your DWGs today, then they're going to be able to consume those DWGs from AutoCAD Electrical, because it's AutoCAD at its base, just got some extra functionality. So let's talk a little bit about AutoCAD Electrical real quickly and about the things that we can do. So being that most people today are designing their schematics, their layouts, their electrical design in AutoCAD, there's been some studies done actually to see that if you use AutoCAD Electrical versus AutoCAD, you can create those designs 84% faster. I know that seems crazy, but really it's about being the tools and the reuse of designs and the electrical specific commands. And not only that, you're going to get more intelligent drawings, right? So things like bill of materials, right? Some intelligence built outside of your design. So again, there's been independent studies shown that AutoCAD Electrical is going to help you design your drawings faster. So let's look at the top 10. This is kind of where we want to focus today, is introduction to AutoCAD Electrical, how we can streamline that workflow. And then our next series, we'll talk a little bit more about some more of the automated tasks and migration that Amy talked about. So if we look at kind of top 10 reasons why we want to look at AutoCAD Electrical. Well, the first one is going to be comprehensive symbol libraries. What that means is, well, we partner with Allen Bradley, Eaton, ABB, your electrical manufacturers, to get their content in our libraries. Right? So over 1 million different part numbers that are inside of our database with AutoCAD Electrical. What that means is that stuff's already done for you. Well, and if you find one that we don't have, well, guess what? You can customize that library. So not only do we have 1 million different components as far as the part numbers, we also can customize that. Not just electrical, we also have hydraulic and pneumatic symbols, as well as some piping and instrument diagrams as well. So it goes a little bit more than just AutoCAD, than just electrical. Number 2, automating tedious tasks. So tagging components, wiring numbering, instead of having to add simple text information, we can automate those tasks for you with AutoCAD Electrical. So really helping to reference that drawing information inside of those drawings. Number 3, automated project reports. Huge benefit. So most customers I talk to who are using AutoCAD as their design tool create bill of materials with an Excel spreadsheet. And that means manually checking your drawings. So manually checking your drawings to see what information you put in there, very time-consuming, very tedious, very error-prone. Using a report generator out of AutoCAD Electrical, we can create things like bill of material reports, wire to from lists, terminal reports, and then much, much more. You can kind of see a view in the right corner there of some of the reports we can get out. But the reports are flexible and really streamline that task to help with that error checking and the tedious task of creating reports inside of Excel. Error checking. So as I go through it and trying to create these designs and checking for me in the background, letting AutoCAD Electrical work intelligently because they're not just lines, arcs, and circles. They're actually intelligent wires, right? So it's actual real wire. It's actual schematic. I'm building that information so it knows relationships, right, to those components. So great error checking. Cross-referencing, right? So working the idea of a project to help me reference that information and tagging those components, right? So here you can kind of see I have a parent-sibling type relationship, relay coils context, right? So tracking that information and letting it know how many more you can put into your design, right? So letting you know that information and track some of that information. Creating smart panel layouts, right? So working from a schematic and then putting like a floor plan, right, for that panel, right? We're representing it in two different ways inside the drawing, and well, how do I tie those together? I talked about creating a bill of material. I don't want my bill of material to be overdone, duplicate entries. So working inside of a project, it's going to be able to help me manage that and to be able to create those layouts. Specific electrical drafting features. So instead of lines, arcs, and circles, I'm actually creating push buttons, wires, ladders, right? So all those are actual components built inside, so they're intelligent, and they're going to work that way, right? So if I can want to place a 10-gauge red wire, I don't just call it a 10-gauge red wire and imagine it's that. It actually is that information. And that's really important for connecting that information downstream. So if I need to connect that with my mechanical group, right, to do 3D routing of those actual wires, that intelligent information is going to come across. So a lot of intelligence built into the design just because we're using specific drafting features for electrical design. PLC I drawings. So there's different ways to create those, right? So great thing we can do is to leverage that information, right, and be able to do things such like an Excel spreadsheet, right? So using documentation that normally we're going to do today, but maybe tweaking it a little bit to conform to a standard to be able to automatically create some of those drawings. Sharing drawings and tracking changes, right? And we talked about DWG. At its core, it's saving a DWG file. So those people who need to consume that just have AutoCAD or AutoCAD LT or a DWG viewer. They can still consume those drawings inside of AutoCAD Electrical. The benefit of using Electrical is it has that intelligence, right? So if they were using a similar tool, they can make changes to those and be intelligent changes. Otherwise, it's just trying to consume those, no problem. Be able to read those files because they are DWGs. And reusing existing designs, and we'll get more into this in our next webcast, but using information that's already existing in our drawings, helping to kind of convert that information. Again, it's a DWG at its core, so if I have a DWG drawing, I can bring that into Electrical, and I can choose how much intelligence I want to create in there, how much of that I want to migrate, and how much maybe I start from new. So those are the top 10 reasons. I'm going to show the majority of those today. And that's kind of our goal, is to kind of get you excited about using a tool like AutoCAD Electrical. So with that, we will go into the tool and see what it looks like. So for those who are on the call who use AutoCAD, and you've seen recently our ribbon days, right, and they're familiar with that, so I'll tell you a little bit about the difference. Right? So inside of Electrical, we're going to have electrical-specific commands. We talked about that. So grabbing some icons, right, some wires, you can kind of see trimming wires, moving wires, a lot of commands that are built specifically for that information. If we look here at this drawing, right, we want to change the wire, we can kind of see it's an actual red wire, right? So that intelligence is being built into my drawing. Also, if you look over on the left, the other thing you'll notice is I work inside the idea of a project. So inside of Electrical, all my drawings are grouped together in a project. And I can make these projects, I can clone these projects, so you can start to see the drawing information, right? Everything's starting to update what's inside of my drawing. So that's a basic difference, right? So I have some extra tabs with some extra electrical components. I work in the idea of this project, right? So now we can get in and highlight some of those benefits, some of those differentiators inside of the electrical. So we're going to go ahead and create a circuit, right? We're going to create this guy and show you how we do that. And we'll just do it over here. First thing to kind of show is some of that intelligence, right? So instead of creating lines, arcs, and circles, we're going to create intelligent components. So creating ladder rungs is just that easy. Creating a wire is just that easy. Right? So I can go ahead and maybe you can see a lot of different commands that are in there, but now connecting that information, right? All those connection points, manually creating that in something like AutoCAD, I no longer have to worry about that tedious task. Also being able to kind of move things around in my drawing, right? So if I wanted to move an item around, keeping those connection points, right? Everything's going to maintain those relationships, right? There's specific tools like the scoop tool. If I wanted to move this component, I can simply move it, and you can kind of see that everything kind of reconnecting, right? So that information automatically trimming those wires, right? They're already done. Reconnecting those and re-extending that information, already done for me. So some of those tasks, we're talking about automating those tasks. AutoCAD Electrical is going to do that for you. How about inserting components? Was one of the top reasons, right? We have a library of over 1 million different part numbers. A couple of different ways we can do that, and I'll show you those different ways today. So if we look at a push button, right? So we'll look at this mushroom head. Right? So we'll throw this guy onto our drawing, and we can go ahead and we can look that information up. Right? So I can pull from that catalog. I can pull that information. Right? So we'll look for a specific part number. You can kind of see it remembers kind of recent searches, or I can save like a favorite search. Right? So if there's components I commonly use, I can pull that information. Right? So here's, from Allen Bradley's my manufacturer. That's just one of the types. Right? We talked about it in deploying of AutoCAD Electrical. I can choose which manufacturers I enable on my system. So if I only use a handful of manufacturers, I can just install those handful of manufacturers. Or if it's more flexible and I'm up for using whatever, I can include over 40 different manufacturers. Right? So that's the benefit, that information already done for you. You'll notice as I place that on, it automatically trims those wires. So creating that disconnect in that wire, connecting to those pins of that push button, already done for me. Not an extra task, not a trim command. I have to go in with something like AutoCAD to create. Already going to do that for me. So now if I want to look at pulling information, right? Keeping standardization, so I can have some default settings, some things to help automate the tasks of the tedious tasks of typing and error-prone manual entries. I can pull from that information. Right? So there's a push button. We talked about reference numbers, right? So it knows it's on line 403. It's going to reference that, automatically create that tag component for me. So here's the other way, and this is new to 2015. So if you've seen AutoCAD Electrical before and wondering, hey, I've never seen this before, that's because it's new. It's a new tool available inside of the 2015 is the idea of this catalog browser. And we'll show you next time how this catalog browser is going to connect us to our inventory space. So if you're interested in connecting information from that 2D space, the 2D schematics, into that 3D world, be sure to join us back in January where we cover that information with connecting AutoCAD Electrical to Inventor. But the idea is it's an area where we're focusing improvement, right, to meet that integration together. And first step was creating this catalog browser that both use in the 2D space as your 2D footprints, but also leverage in your 3D world where you can have your 3D parts assemblies tied to that information. Right, so now I have my push button. I can go in and we can grab that information. The catalog number is already grabbed from because I searched from the catalog browser. Right? So now I just need to create some standards here. We'll go ahead and call this a stop button. Right, so as we're creating the circuit, we kind of start to see the information. We're building up with the specific line referencing, component tagging, automatically creating that information for us. One of the great tools about electrical is the capability to do real-time error checking or referencing. Right? So we talked about creating some specific parent-sibling relationships. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to insert a coil. Right? So we'll look it up just like we've done before. There's multiple ways we can do that. So if there's something I've used already on my drawing, I can go ahead and search for that in my drawing. Right? Or I can go ahead and look it up from that browser that we've been doing. And so we'll continue with that workflow. In recognizing current drawing searches you've done, we're recognizing kind of favorites. You can kind of see here faintly there's a little star. I can mark that as a favorite to be used, in my customized workplace. So entering all the information, it's in on my drawing. Now I can look at creating the contacts. So we're going to make this is a two normally open contacts, right? So that's important to remember because as we go through this design, right, maybe we want to add some normally opens and normally closed contacts and tie them to the master coil. Right? So see how we can update that information, and everything's going to be nice for us. So you're cleaning up drawings, something that's maybe a tedious task inside of AutoCAD. We can use kind of our line tool, right, to start keeping everything kind of kosher and looking uniformly. We can do that with AutoCAD Electrical. Some nice align tools to help us do that. You'll notice here we're also referencing that information, letting us know that we have two unused normally open contacts. So as I go in my catalog browser, I start to place those contacts. I can pull from ones I've used, or I can pull from my recently used list. So we'll go ahead and show you different ways there again. Show you just how flexible the tool is. So now I can tie that back to its parent file. Right? So instead of searching from a browser and grabbing that information, I want to link that information together. I can see what pins are available on that master coil. Right? So I can change up that referencing numbers, and I can accept those changes. And now you'll notice, because I've referenced that information there on line 405, it also lets me know that I have one unused. What happens if I make a change, though? If I make this change and change this back up to line 403, 404, what's going to happen? Well, the tag is going to update that information, right? So it's creating that intelligence for us. So now let's see how we can check. Right? I know, because I just recently placed, I know it only has two normally opens. If I try to place a normally closed on here, what's going to happen? If I try to tag it to its parent or its sibling, you'll notice AutoCAD Electrical doing checks for me, reference checking in the background for me. Lets me know, hey, that's not possible. I need to either change my master coil or make maybe an auxiliary contact I can place on there that could accept that information. So really quick and easy tools to kind of help me kind of throughout that process. So we'll just finish this up, and what's a circuit complete unless it has a light, right? So we'll pull from a drawing. We've used one already in the past. Why don't we just grab that information, and there we go. So quickly we'll be able to create a circuit, and some of the tools that we highlighted to show how AutoCAD Electrical can streamline that process is, first off, we showed how we have electrical specific tools, right? So creating lines, not lines anymore, actual physical wires with actual gauge types and intelligent information. Placing those components, all right, and automatically breaking those lines and creating those connection points, and automatically referencing component tags information, right? Changing up drawings, information is going to change, and as well as kind of referencing, right? So cross-part referencing. So I knew that, hey, I only had two normally open pins available. I could not use a normally closed contact with that master coil. So there's some automation tasks, and let's take a broader look at this drawing. And you notice I don't have any wiring numbers, right? So what can we do here? Well, we can add some wire numbers, right? So that's exactly what we'd like to do. We can see I can do a drawing wide, I can do a project wide, so we'll just do this drawing wide. I can change up my format, but just the ease of the tool show you how easily we can create those wires for us. Another task, something I might have to do manually inside of regular AutoCAD, or maybe I created some routine to do that for me, but done out of the box, customizable, how I want that to look and feel inside of electrical. So another great one of those top 10 reasons why I'd move to something like AutoCAD Electrical. And kind of begin reporting out. So if I wanted to pull out some information, right? So if we wanted to pull a report, let's go to a wire to from report, right? You can see some of these reports that I can generate, right? So I have all that information. It's going to let me know what I want to do to automate that task. So maybe we can kind of show how these are going to relate back and forth between other projects. So here we have our schematic layout, and now what we want to do is take that to the next level. Right? So we want to place that panel layout and create that connection between the two of them. So that's kind of where we're going to go to next, is I'll go to my panel view, right? And I can go to my panel station here, and I want to create that physical component. So now we can go ahead and move through that project, and we can pull from lists, right? So instead of that icon menu, we can actually use that information to pull from a schematic. So here in the other ways we can do that, we pull that information and use the information that we pulled from our drawings. So here if we reload our list, we can pull from our active project or the active drawing, so we'll choose to pull from our project. Right, so here you can see the layout of my project, and I see I'm doing that by subfolders or how I'm managing that information. We know we're just working on drawing number 4, so just for ease of use, let's just pull that drawing over. And now we can start to see all the information that's inside of those drawings. We can mark existing ones that have already been placed, and we can hide those to see that, okay, here on line 403, right, we placed those 2 push buttons. So let's grab that information, and we can insert that right into our drawing. Now, all that information is going to be saved, right? So I saved, my catalog reference number. It has my component tags. So all the information back on that other drawing was saved, right? So we can save that information. And now if I wanted to take a look and go back to see where that was placed and other information inside of that tool, we can utilize our surfer tool. Our surfer tool is going to let us to check inside those projects how things are being related together. So we can go back to sheet 4, with referencing that other information. We can go over to there, and we'll go ahead and make a quick save there. So now we can kind of see that information in the right changed. Right, so just to kind of verify, we can say, hey, this is stop number 2. We'll go ahead and say, okay. So now we have that stop information notifying me, hey, you know what, you need to update the rest of your drawing, so go ahead. It's going to update that drawing, kind of see it open real quick and close. So now that information has been changed. So just to validate that, let's use our surfer tool again. Go back to that drawing, and now we can see here on our tag, we edit this information, already updated for me. So AutoCAD Electrical, it's checking that tag information for me as we go across and really bringing to home all that detailed information right within inside of the tool. Right, so now we've placed a button. Right, what we've done is we've actually created some of that information. So let's show how we can kind of move past that and to add additional detailed information. So we talked about our reporting tool, so something like a bill of material, something very important, right, for our drawings. Again, we can pull from all our drawings, all our information. We can pull from the project. So let's do that again. Let's just pull from our active drawing. So now I have my drawing information. I'm pulling from there. So all those components and things, you can start to see this information where it's at. We can change the format. Right? So any other miscellaneous fields we want to add, maybe manufacturing type, or maybe, for instance, you use a unique part number that's different from the manufacturing part number. You want to include that information. You can do that. We can customize how that looks. We can save to a file. So if we want to save to something like an Excel file, we can do that, or save to XML. You kind of see the file types we can save to. But I'm always kind of putting stuff on our drawing, so we can go ahead and place that here on our drawing. And so we can pick where we want that information to go. We can say how many lines we're going to start from, and we can space those rows out. And so now, real time, you can kind of see that, hey, that push button we placed on line 403, right? Component tags there, all the detailed information with the description, its catalog number, and the manufacturing type. Right, so all the information that we've placed onto our drawing is automatically tracked for us. Some great benefits to be able to kind of add those things kind of together. And then lastly, kind of to bring us home on what we've been able to accomplish is let's check out maybe creating some PLCs. Right, so here in my schematics, you can kind of see where I can start to build out these components. Right, so here's my ladder rung. Maybe I want to change the width. I can customize the feel of how this. Maybe I want it to take a little bit more space because I have more information that's going to be inserted in there. Right, so it's just that easy to grab that information and to pull that home. Right, so now I can kind of start to see how I can automatically create this. Right, so then we have tools like inserting those components. Right, we can pick from different standards, different types. Right, so now let's actually pull from our PLCs. Right, so I can see the different manufacturing types and everything that we can go through, and we can select maybe an Allen Bradley analog type and a specific number. Right, so we can pull that from our drawings, place that on here, and we can go ahead and we can select that other detailed information right inside of our drawing. I can kind of see how the information is going. I can choose to break this like I did in this module over here. We're really starting to add all that intelligent information into our drawings. If we wanted to kind of go to one step further, we can kind of see that we have this PLC I utility. And what that's going to do is allow us to utilize something like an Excel spreadsheet. So if we open up Excel to see how that information is cataloged, and those of you who do electrical design know a lot of this information. So we have, our component codes, we have our different, line referencing, we have, different description information. So the beauty of this is all inside of the spreadsheet, right? So how this is set up, right? We see here we have our push buttons, our symbols. We can see all the component tag information that's needed to generate this PLC, all within inside of this Excel spreadsheet. So we'll say to open this, and we'll create a new drawing. Browse for a drawing. We'll call this 5A. And just that easy, we can go ahead and activate this and start a new drawing. Pulling information from that Excel file, it's going to automatically create this drawing for me. So we talked about speeding up the tasks and how we can really start to automate that information, easily pulling that information from an Excel spreadsheet. So you can start to see how the power of a tool like AutoCAD Electrical can really bring us home. So if we kind of take a step back and look at what we just covered. All right, so we'll go take a look at our top 10. All right, so working inside of AutoCAD Electrical, some of the great benefits we have is we have a comprehensive symbol library. We showed how we could pull from that information from those entitled to the actual physical components. Talked about wiring numbering and how we can component tagging, how those tasks are done automatically. We showed some of that reports, right? We showed a bill of material report from that panel layout. We did some real-time air checking. Also did some cross-referencing with those relay coils. Also being able to create those panel layouts and tying those together within those projects. We showed a few of the electrical-specific commands. As you've noticed, there's a lot of different commands in there that we didn't touch on today, but they're available. Creating PLC drawings, whether it be kind of point-click solutions like we did, but also being able to generate that information from an Excel spreadsheet. We talked about tracking those changes, and we showed that surfer tool, right, going from one project to another and how that was done, and also kind of showing those existing drawings. So now if we want to talk about kind of what's to come, right? So if we think about kind of what's to come in this project, talk about upcoming in January 16th to be exact. We're going to talk about easing the transition from AutoCAD Electric to AutoCAD Electrical. So talking about reusing your current DWGs and how you can take them in a multiple different facets and decide how much information you want to include or how much information you want to reuse or how much information you want to start from scratch. So making intelligence, and there's tools in electrical to convert your drawings into AutoCAD Electrical intelligent drawings. So the reason I'd want to do that is if I want to take that information and generate a report from it. Right? So bill of materials or wire to from reports. I can get that information from those drawings. We talked a little bit about the integration with AutoCAD, with Autodesk Inventor, and we'll show a little bit of that coming in January to show you that connection. So connecting the 2D electrical world with the 3D mechanical environment. And also for those of you who are on the call, feel free to go out and download this today, but there is an app for AutoCAD Electrical. There's a mobile app, and we'll talk a little bit about that, just the different uses of AutoCAD Electrical. So if that seems like things like you're interested in, then please make sure you join us back in January. So with that, Amy, I'll turn the time over to you, and we probably have some questions we can answer. So let me give you presenter rights again.
Thank you. Let me share my screen, and there we go. So I'm not seeing any questions. Anybody have anything? If you do, if you will, type them in the question area to the right with the GoToWebinar information. If you haven't already, search for Live Lab Learning on Facebook or on our website to receive the latest information and special offers. And when you visit our website, there's a complete schedule of upcoming training and future information on webinars, tidbits, and software updates. I'm not seeing any questions.
Well, then I must have done a great job today then.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll be sending a link to the recording of this. I want to give a special thanks to Travis Evans with Autodesk for presenting this to us. We hope you found this webinar informative and helpful to your business. Look forward to you joining our next webinar. Again, that's January 16th, right, Travis?
Yes, that is correct.
Regarding
It looks like there's one question that came in, probably for you, asking about.
Well, hold on. Let me. Here we go. Can we get a certificate for attending this webinar? I will put something together and get that for you. Yes. That was asked by David, but if anybody else needs one, please let me know. With that, I appreciate your attendance, and if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with me, Amy.Berry or aberry@appliedsoftware.com. I'm sorry, that's totally wrong. aberry@asti.com. Thank you, and have a great day.